Okay, we're going to do another example of the trig. I did the sine of x plus cosine of x last time. We're going to ignore the sine of x squared plus cosine of x squared that I had on the other video because that's just one and not very interesting. So I grabbed a different one instead. All right, so let's take the first derivative of this. Get her started. Um, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna use the trig identity first. That'll make things a little easier, a little less computation. So cosine squared of x equals 1 minus sine squared of x. So our function is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared of x. And hopefully that'll save some time. All right, so the derivative. Derivative of 1 is 0, so derivative of negative 2. So negative 2 times 2. 2 comes down, sine of x. And our chain rule gives us cosine of x is derivative of sine. So, all right, so we set this equal to 0. And, well, the negative 4 doesn't matter. We can divide everything by negative 4 and nothing changes. So this is going to be 0 when either the sine of x is 0 or the cosine of x is 0. So sine of x equals 0 at 0 and pi. Cosine of x equals 0 at pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2. And, more going forward, but let's just take a look at 1 unit circle of 0 to 2 pi. All right, so we need to evaluate those. I can do a first derivative test, but I think the second derivative test will be a little easier, so I'm gonna do that. So let's take the second derivative. And our first derivative, I'll use this one here. That's the one I'm going to take the derivative of. So it's product rule, so we've got the negative 4. Let's leave that outside. So it's first. Let's do this. Derivative of the second is negative sign. Second. And derivative of the first is another cosine. So our second derivative, positive 4 sine squared. We got a negative and a negative, and then minus 4 cosine squared. Okay, so let's evaluate these 4 spots. So f double prime of 0 is equal to 0 minus 4 times 1 squared, which is negative 4. That's less than 0, so that gives us a max. If we evaluate, let's just do pi. That's going to be the same thing because it's going to be squared there. So we got negative 1 squared, which is the same. So another max. And the other two should be in a similar fashion. So let's go with pi by 2. So now we have 4 times 1 squared minus 0, because at pi by 2, cosine 0. So that equals 4. That's greater than 0, which means that's a min. And our last one. Negative 1 squared is still 4. Well, 1 times 4. So we have another min. And these are the values here. Easy to plug into our first equation what we want. So our Our maxes will be at, what do we have? 0. If we plug in 0 there, we have 0, 1. And the other one is, we're going to pi, so let's square it again. So pi and 1. And our mins are going to be at pi by 2 and negative 1. And then 3 pi by 2 and, excuse me, and negative 1 as well. So I'm not going to graph this, but these are the different max and min points using the second derivative test for a different trigonometric function.